So let's go ahead and get started with the evening's program. We have quite a lineup for you in store tonight. But first, let me get started with club news and Fungi in the news. So let me turn on my laser pointer. Can everybody see my screen? My slides? All right, thumbs up. Nice. Let's get started. Okay, so I'll get things kicked off with a little bit of club news and events. We're going to talk membership chair. He's going to Tom Moore is going to get us up to date with some of the latest Fungi in the news, and then and myself and Megan Romberg are also going to chip in on that, and then our former program chair Annie Weissman is going to come in and tell us about what we're finding out there in our neck of the woods these days. How much fun. Megan Romberg, our science advisor. Oh, no, we're going to skip over that tonight. And then we're going to hear about ticks and how to protect yourself from tick bites by a professor at Penn State University. And then we're going to close things out. Oh my God, I can't wait to hear this lecture. How we're going to demystify DNA sequences. Boy, you got your work cut out for you, Conrad. That's going to take you about 60 minutes to make sense out of those for us, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say. So, recent and upcoming club events. Our club treasurer Matt Cohen and myself. Just on Friday, we went to Cunningham Falls State Park. This is right next door to Camp David. Lovely little park up there. It's also right next door to a great iron furnace, Catoctin Furnace, and led a walk. Had a great time. Mitch went out on Saturday. I think he seemed to have pretty good luck. Found a lot of Lactarius and Russellas at the end of his walk, apparently. So maybe we'll see some more of those in Annie's talk. And let me give you a pitch. So in a few weeks from now, over Labor Day weekend, I have to say this is the best weekend of the entire year. Absolute best. I just love it. This is whenever our club goes into the Laurel Highlands of southwestern Pennsylvania, and we go to the Camp Sequanota. Spend several days there, and we just geek out over fungi all weekend long. I just love it. It is it's really my favorite weekend of the year, and maybe that's sad to say, but it is. I just can't get enough of it. If you've never been to Sequanota, or if you're on the fence about whether or not you want to come back this year, I can't recommend it highly enough. We still have a couple of spaces open. We have a great lineup. We have Bill Ewell, Bill coming with us this year. He is, in the truest sense of a word, an educator. When you hang around Bill, you just can't help but learn. And we also are bringing in Dr. Catherine Aim from Purdue University. She'll be our other guest mycologist this year, and she gives a lecture that is one of the most fascinating lectures that you are ever going to hear. Dr. Catherine Aim has been going to the Tabletop Mountains in Guyana. These are called the Tepui Mountains in the interior of Guyana. If you don't know where Guyana is, it's in the northeastern border of South America, and this is arguably the most remote place on Earth. You have to fly in on on airplanes to even arrive to this location. It is just inaccessible. This is where Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote Place the Lost World. It's just fantastic, her lecture. Everything there that you know about fungi gets turned upside down. You have chanterelles and morel and truffles that grow on top of the ground or in the trees there. It's just fascinating to hear her talk. Then next month we'll be back. Note on the date. This will be after the Sequanota event, so we got to go a little bit later in the month. Next month, we're going to be hearing about fungal pigments, and I forget the name of the speaker for that, but we'll be letting you know. We will let you know. And then October, We have a great event. This is the Mushroom Fair we hold at Brookside Gardens. This is another just fantastic event. We usually have several hundred people show up for this, and all day long we just geek out over mushrooms, have walks, and everybody talks about mushrooms all day. And then this is something that I run at the end of November. We have a photo contest for the club, so you want to, I'll send out an email when we get close. You want to send me your best 5 photos, and maybe you'll be one of the award winners. Okay, so that's recent and upcoming events. Another one. So Mushroom Capital of the World, self-proclaimed, but I think it's a pretty cool title. Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. This is just outside of Philadelphia. We'll have a joint foray there with the Eastern Pennsylvania Club. And then afterwards, you can go over to the Mushroom Festival that they host every year to celebrate their prized crop. Kind of fun thing to go see. And then the NAMA foray, that is the North American Mycological Association, they are holding their annual foray in Marlborough, Vermont, a little bit later in September. And this one here, I am planning to attend myself. Also, Martin Levinci, he's another one of our club members, board members. And it's going to be in beautiful Ithaca, New York. That is the Northeast Mycological Federation foray. So really looking forward to that. Beautiful lichen over here on the side. I took that picture. That's of rock foam lichen, stereocolon. And I took that in Norway a few months ago. All right. So these are things coming up at Mount Rainier Nature Center. So I'm going to see if Serenella Linares has some things that our fun gal, our program chair, has to say about that.
Thank you so much, Tom. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Awesome. So we are very excited for September. It is National Mushroom Month. And here at Mount Rainier Nature Center, and turns out at Clearwater Nature Center as well, we have all these programs to offer you something to do that is fungal related during September. We have a mushroom craft where you can come and make your mushroom dreams come true in your hands using polymer clay. You can also come and participate from the DNA Research Day in September 7. On September 14, we will have our monthly meeting in person with a talk from the founder of Kali Mushrooms, Sneha Ganguly. And there's a walk prior to the lecture that you can all sign up. These events are included in the calendar, and the events from Clearwater Nature Center will come up tomorrow as well. To see these and other offerings through the month of September and on, please stay tuned to our website, maldc.org/calendar. Everything that we have going on will be posted there for your viewing pleasure. Thank you so much, Tom.
Thank you so much, Siri. My Micah Amiga. Micah Amiga. All right. So moving on, we will now we're getting into fungi in the news. That's another photo that I took this month. I included that because I misidentified it on iNaturalist, and Martin Levinci was good enough to correct me. So that is the pleated ink cap. All right. So here we go. Tom Moore, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Tom. And I will be posting links to all of these articles in the chat as soon as I'm done, so you don't need to scramble around trying to find anything. So first of all, New York Times published this great article on July 16th about the invasive species that many people have been seeing out there, these golden oyster mushrooms that seem to be all over the place. I actually haven't seen any out there, but I know many people have. And this is a really interesting article about how these are just really taking over environments. So you might want to check that out, and you can head to the next slide.
I will just add very quickly, because we got a full program tonight. One nice thing about these golden oysters is they attack ailanthus trees, and ailanthus trees are a horrible invasive species. This is the tree
Yes.
that grows in Brooklyn, even though that it was in a emblem of perseverance, because ailanthus trees will push their way up through asphalt, and they use that in that story to kind of show that a person can overcome all kinds of adversity. They are a terrible invasive species, and but if there's anything good to say about spotted lanternflies and this new invasive fungi, the golden oysters, they love ailanthus trees. So, okay, moving on.
And hey, they're edible too.
And edible and delicious.
So if you've been attending our meetings, you know a lot of us love Mary Elizabeth Banning, who was an early Maryland mycologist. And there's a big exhibition of her work. She not only was a mycologist, but a remarkable artist. You see there on the right, her drawing of Lactarius indigo. And there's an exhibition of her work in upstate New York right now. And the art publication Hyperallergic just published a significant article about the exhibition. And as you can see there, you know, not only was she one of the first women to put a name on an entire group or taxon of fungus, but a full 23 of the 175 species she records in the manuscript were unknown at the field at the time. She was really a groundbreaking scientist. Fascinating work and life. So, and I think Tom is heading up to see that exhibition, right? And it's near Ithaca, right? So
it's near Ithaca. Well, not that near. It's in Albany, so it's
yeah,
not that
it's
near.
in Albany. Okay. Well, that's right. It's a state museum.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's head to the next slide. Emory University. This, you know, just caught my eye. I work at a university, so I love to see research happening at universities, and this kind of raised my eyebrows a little bit. At Emory, they found that psilocin, which is the byproduct of psilocybin that's reactive in our systems, as they say, extended the cellular lifespan of human skin and lung cells by more than 50%. I haven't read this thoroughly, so I don't know quite how they came up with that, but that was kind of like, wow, that's fascinating. So check that out if you're interested in psilocybin. And next slide. Another university article coming up here. This is Penn Engineering Today. We all know about fascinating compounds in fungi that are being studied for anti-cancer properties. And these researchers have isolated a class of molecules in Aspergillus that turns out to have very promising cancer-killing properties that rival FDA-approved drugs. So again, really interesting headway being made there, sort of on the frontier of fungal medicine. And next slide. I'm just trying to move these forward as quickly as we can because we got a lot to go through. This is a big article. So if you have a few minutes to kick back and just read this for a while, it's really quite fascinating. It's about how as it says, our body is a mosaic of fungi. And but this also looks in particular about connections between fungi and the brain, both in terms of fungi being able to pass through the blood-brain barrier, which seems to happen more often than we thought, because it's kind of thought of as an impermeable barrier, but also the relationship between fungi and the gut and the brain. So very interesting stuff, and detailing with some studies with mice, and looking at fungi pro and con, because there are a lot of fungi that are not very good for us, that can get inside us as well, but how we are just filled with fungi. So next slide. This just launched, and I didn't put this in as an article link because this was covered pretty widely in the media. There was a huge article in the New York Times about this. There's a group called SPUN. I love this name, the Society for the Protection of Underground Networks. And in response to the fact that almost all ecological maps, if you will, are above ground, they are going below ground and looking at the ecosystems in the soil. including mycorrhizal networks, which form a significant part of that. And this site, which you can go to, you can zoom in, you can explore. It's absolutely fascinating. So I'll post not only a link to this, but a link to the New York Times article. It's really worth exploring. And it's one of those things where if you pull it up, you will have trouble getting out of it. It's just fascinating. And next slide. Oh, okay. And here I'm going to turn it over to Tom and Megan.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Tom.
Sure.
Oh man, that's good stuff. And so I think that the history of color pigments is almost as fascinating as thinking about mushrooms. And whenever these two things share the same space, oh my God, my head just wants to explode. So Megan forwarded an article this month about the history of lac. Now, lac is a byproduct of making shellac. Now, a lot of us don't realize this, but shellac is actually a resin that is secreted by the female lac bug that you can see over here, and it does this on trees especially in India and in Thailand. And what it does is, even though it's not a true cocoon, this little scale insect, it sucks it taps into the circulatory system of the tree and kind of excretes this hard material around it to protect itself from predation. Well, that hard material is what we harvest from the tree, and then we process it very minimally to make shellac. And shellac, depending on the type of tree sap that this little creature is sucking on, it can change quite a bit. It might be this dull amber color, or it might be like a very warm brown to even a crimson color. This little scale insect is a close relative of the cochineal beetle that is arguably the most profitable, or second most profitable product for the Spanish in colonial America after the silver mines in Potosi, Bolivia. The Aztecs used to farm the color red on the prickly pear cactus in Mesoamerica, and they made just a king's ransom from that. And this is a very close relative of it. Well, the neat thing about this that this new study just figured out is that lac, which is the pigment that is a byproduct of making shellac, or as a byproduct of unfortunately, they'll kill the insects in order to do that, and then process them in a way to get the pigment out of them to make this lac, this warm red color. Is we now have found out that the insect itself has no ability to make that color itself. It is all a byproduct of a yeast, a fungal yeast that is in its digestive tract. Megan, did you have anything else that you would care to add about that? Megan really knows about color history as well.
Well, but not really from the color side, but I did think it was fascinating that, for centuries it had been assumed that it was the insect. They looked at two endosymbionts, something called Wolbachia, and then the yeast that doesn't have a name yet, and found that the only part of the insect-plant association that was producing the pigment was the yeast-like organism. And it also appears to provide some nutrients that the insect itself can't synthesize. So it's helping it, and the secondary metabolites that make the color may be a secondary thing, but who knows how much else out there that we've assumed has been done by insects or plants is actually being done by fungi.
And we have a lecture coming up next month on fungal pigments. So we are going to be sure to query add some of our queries to that lecture and see what he knows about the manufacture of lac and yeast microbiomes of this little scale insect. Very cool. All right, let's move on to the next one. And this is from a Washington Post article recently. So I love this plant. It's called Monotropa uniflora. That translates to well, we all know it as ghost pipe or Indian pipe, but Monotropa uniflora, that translates to one movement, one flower. You see how the flower is pointing down like this? That's protected from raindrops whenever it's unpollinated. When it becomes pollinated, then that flower will turn upright and point straight out of the ground. That is the one movement. And in a Washington Post article, they were talking about how some people were going out and taking this parasitic plant. This is a heath family plant that latches on to fungal mycelium in the soil and parasitizes them, which are Rusula fungi, and they are in a symbiotic relationship with the trees in the background. So it is basically a forest ecology menage a trois. And so what people were doing is over harvesting these perhaps in the Washington, D.C. area, because there is a historical usage of this plant to make a tincture. So you dump vodka or green alcohol over this, and it turns a really attractive purple color, and people find that to be a remedy for certain things like anxiety, maybe as a sedative, as a pain reliever. But the problem with this is all totally anecdotal evidence. So we haven't had any real scientific studies done on this yet. So anytime that we're talking about foraging, overharvesting tends to be a concern. The other thing with this is whenever people are trying to medicate with certain herbal medicines, can't suggest this strongly enough. Go out, do all the research you can, come up with your own decisions, because I know that this very closely related plant of ghost pipe, this is called pine sap. You can see it's multi-flowered rather than one-flowered, and it has a beautiful color image to it. This does have toxic glycosides in it. Glycoside in nature, plants use these a lot, often to deter herbivory as toxins. That's a sugar molecule attached to a non-sugar molecule. This does have toxic glycosides in it, and it is like a very close first cousin of this guy. So who knows, but approach all these things with caution. Okay, so I believe that is everything we have in Fungi in the News. So I am going to quit sharing, and we are going to go on to
Tom, I'm gonna hop in real quick. I know we're gonna not talk about the research scholarships, but I do want to, because it was advertised, I do want to just name the 3 Sequinota scholarship winners to recognize them, and then we'll move on. So we have 3 Sequinota scholarship winners this year, and we're very excited about that. We had a generous donor that got us up to 3. So we have Teska Happig Ward, who is a student at Shenandoah University. We have Jennifer Pfeiffer, who is a student at George Mason University, and Allison Munaya Borges, who's a student beginning a master's at Bowie State University. So we will see them all at Sequinota, and we're super excited to have them there. All right.
All right. Thank you.